Hello viewers, welcome back to another video. I know it's been very long. I have few reasons for it. I didn't go away for nothing. There was a reason behind it. And there are actually multiple reasons behind it. Let me start with the first one. First of all, as I already told you, I think I already told you, my semester end exams were going on. I would be able to upload. I mean to say that I was able to upload. Oh, it was possible for me to upload, but I didn't. I chose not to, and that's on me. That's my fault completely. But after my exams, I just after my exams, my relatives came, and it's been hard for me to record at night because in the morning and for the whole day I've been going to the hospital for some reasons, for some personal reasons. Actually, there's my grandfather, my mother's side, and he is sick, so I have to take him to hospital with my mother's brother. So we both are going and taking care of him in the hospital. So that's why I think I wasn't able to, but I have been on track as much as I could have been, as much as possible. I have been on track. And let me show you something. I bought two books. First of all, we didn't complete the last one, Atomic Habits. We have to complete that first. We were on page number. We have to start from chapter number 19, the Goldilocks rule: how to stay motivated in life and work. This chapter. I hope it's visible, as always. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not even able to cut my nails. They have grown so large. First of all, I'm not able to find nail clippers for them. I have to find it, then I have to. So that's all. And yes, let me show you the books that I have bought. I bought two books: The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho. I don't know what his name is. And the second one is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki. Yeah. These two books. This book I have found. I read about online, and this book was suggested to me by my JEE chemistry teacher online, Vedantu. His name was Arpit sir. He was from Amritsar. Very great guy, very chill guy. And once in class, he suggested this book to me. I wasn't into reading at that time because I was way too distracted. But when I started reading books, I remembered that my teacher told me to read this book. That's why I bought it, and it was cheap too. That's why I bought it. And it's short also. So let's start today's read without any further delay. As usual, if you have any doubts and suggestions, please comment down as always. I do try to read your comments, but I don't have any to read it. Let me set up the timer for 21 minutes. Yeah, I'm increasing it to 21 minutes as it has always been. And let's start. Yeah. The Goldilocks rule: how to stay motivated in life and work. In 1955, Disneyland had just opened in Anaheim, California, when a 10-year-old boy walked. And by the way, it's way too hot in India. It's currently I guess it's around 40-50 degrees at night. Not that much, but it must be around 35 to 45 degrees, and it's way too hot. And I have to uh, turn off my fan because it makes sound and I'm not able to, and the voice get distorted in the video, so I have to turn it off. It's very hot, so please don't mind when I get sweaty. And yeah, let's go. A 10-year-old boy walked in and asked for a job. Labor laws were loose back then, and the boy managed to land a position selling guidebooks for 0.50 guidebooks for 50 cents a piece. Within a year, he had transitioned to a Disney's magic shop. Transitioned to Disney's magic shop, where he learned tricks from the older employees. He experimented with jokes and tried out simple routines on visitors. Soon he discovered that what he loved was not performing magic, but performing in general. He set his sights on becoming a comedian. Beginning in his teenage years, he started performing in little clubs around Los Angeles. The crowds were small and his act was short. He was rarely on stage for more than 5 minutes. Most of the people in the crowd were too busy drinking or talking with friends to pay attention. One night, he literally delivered his stand-up routine to an empty club. It wasn't glamorous work, but there was no doubt he was getting better. His first routines would only last 1 or 2 minutes, but by high school, his material had expanded to include a 5-minute act and a weekly for 20 minutes at a time, and a 5 minutes act, and a few years later, a 10-minute show. At 19, he was performing weekly for 20 minutes at a time. He had to read 3 poems during the show just to make the routine long enough, but his skills continued to progress. He spent another decade experimenting, adjusting, and practicing. He took a job as a television writer, and gradually he was able to land his own appearance on talk shows. By the mid 1970s, he had worked his way into being a regular guest on The Tonight Show and The Saturday Night Live. Finally, after nearly 15 years of work, a young man rose to fame. He toured 60 cities in 63 days, the 72 cities in 8 days, then 72 cities in 8 days, and then 85 cities in 90 days. He had 18,695 people attend one show in Ohio. Another 45,000 tickets were sold for his 3-day show in New York. He catapulted on the top of his genre and became one of the most successful comedians of his time. His name is Steve Martin. Martin's story offers a fascinating perspective on what it takes to stick with habits for the long run. Comedy is not for the timid. It is hard to imagine a situation that would strike fear into the heart of more people than performing alone on stage. क्या हुआ? Okay. It is hard to imagine a situation that would strike fear into the hearts of. क्या हुआ? क्या बोला? जा रहे हैं थोड़ी देर में. Hard to imagine a situation that would strike fear into the hearts of more people than performing alone on stage and failing to get a single laugh. And yet Steve Martin faced this fear every week for 18 years. In his words, 10 years spent learning, 4 years spent refining, and 4 years as a wild success. Why is it that some people like Martin stick with their habits? Why is it that some people like Martin stick with their habits, whether practicing jokes or drawing cartoons or playing guitar, while most of us struggle to stay motivated? How do we design habits that pull us in rather than ones that fade away? Scientists have been studying this question for many years. While there is still much to learn, one of the most consistent findings is that the way to maintain motivation and achieve peak levels of desire is to work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. Work on tasks of just manageable difficulty. The human brain loves a challenge, but only if it's within an optimal zone of difficulty. If you love tennis and try to play serious match against 4-year-old, you will quickly become bored. It's too easy. It's too easy. You'll win every point. In contrast, if you play a professional tennis player like Roger Federer or Serena Williams, you will quickly lose motivation because the match was too difficult. Now consider playing tennis against someone who is your equal. The same game progress. You win a few points and you lose a few. You have a good chance of winning, but only if you really try. Your focus narrows distractions. Your focus narrows, distractions fade away, and you find yourself truly invested in the task at hand. This is a challenge of just manageable difficulty, and it is a prime example of the Goldilocks rule. The Goldilocks rule states that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right at the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. Martin's comedy career is an excellent example of the Goldilocks rule in practice. Each year he expanded his comedy routine, but only by a minute or two. He was always adding new material, but he also kept a few jokes that were guaranteed to get laughs. There were just enough victories to keep him motivated and just enough mistakes to keep him working hard. When you're starting a new habit, it's important to keep the behavior as easy as possible so you can stick with it even when conditions aren't perfect. Okay, that's why I missed my reading habit. Duh. Because no, it is easy, but I didn't do it because I was way too much focused on my exams and I was distracted. I wasn't focused on what I had to do and I wasn't in the right space of mind. And this is all just bullshit. I was a dumb ass back then during my exams. I could have done better. I definitely could have done better, but I didn't because, as I told you, I am a dumb ass. That's why. To keep him working hard. When you are starting a new habit, it's important to keep the behavior as easy as possible so you can stick with it even when conditions aren't perfect. This is an idea we covered in detail while discussing the third law of behavior change. Once a habit has been established, however, it is important to continue to advance in small ways. It's important to continue to advance in small ways. These little improvements and new challenges keep you engaged, and if you hit the Goldilocks zone just right, you can achieve the flow state. Okay, so people get bored when it's too easy and demotivated when it's too hard, but if it's in the Goldilocks zone, you get into a flow state and apparently you get way better results than any of the other cases. So the Goldilocks zone is the true sweet spot. The flow state is the experience of being in the zone and fully immersed in an activity. Scientists have tried to quantify this feeling. They found that to achieve a state of flow, a task must be roughly 4% beyond your current ability. So 4%, how do we calculate that first of all? And yeah, 4% beyond your current ability. In real life, it's typically not feasible to quantify the difficulty of an action in this way, but the core idea of the Goldilocks rule remains: working on challenges of just manageable difficulty, something on the perimeter of your ability. Working on challenges of just manageable difficulty, something on the perimeter of your ability, seems crucial for maintaining motivation. Improvement requires a delicate balance. You need to regularly search for challenges that push you to your edge while continuing to make enough progress to stay motivated. Behaviors need to remain novel in order for them to stay attractive and satisfying. Without variety, we get bored, and boredom is perhaps the greatest villain on the quest of self improvement. Yeah, that's true. That's a very good line. Let me just underline it. Boredom is perhaps the greatest villain on the quest of self improvement. Hmm. Yeah, it's getting very hot. How to stay focused when you get bored working on your goals. Bored working on your goals. After my baseball career ended, I was looking for a new sport. I joined a weightlifting team, and one day an elite coach visited our gym. He had worked with thousands of athletes during his long career, including a few Olympians. I introduced myself and we began talking about the process of improvement. What's the difference between the best athletes and everyone else? I asked. What do the really successful people do that most don't? He mentioned the factors you might expect: genetics, luck, talent. But then he said something I wasn't expecting. At some point, it comes down to who can handle the boredom of training every day, doing the same lifts over and over again. His answer surprised me because it's a different way of thinking about work ethic. People talk about getting amped up to work on their goals, whether it's business or sports or art. You hear people say things like, "It all really comes down to passion," or "You really have to want it." As a result, many of us get depressed when we lose focus or motivation because we think that successful people have some bottomless reserve of passion. But this coach was saying that very successful people feel the same lack of motivation as everyone else. The difference is that they still find a way to show up despite the feelings of boredom. Mastery requires practice, but the more you practice something, the more boring and routine it becomes. The beginner gains have been made. Once the beginner gains have been made and we learn what to expect, our interests start to fade. Sometimes it happens even faster than that. All you have to do is hit the gym a few days in a row, publish a couple of blog posts on time, and letting one day slip doesn't feel like much. Things are going well. It's easy to rationalize taking a day off because you are in good place. The greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. We get bored with habits because they stop delighting us. The outcome becomes expected. And as our habits become ordinary, we start derailing our progress to seek novelty. Perhaps this is why we get caught up in a never ending cycle, jumping from one workout to the next, one diet to the next, one business idea to the next. As soon as we experience the slightest dip in motivation, we begin to seek a new strategy, even if the old one was still working. As Machiavelli noted, men desire novelty to such an extent who are doing that those who are doing well wish for a change as much as those who are doing badly. Perhaps this is why many of the most habit forming products are those that provide continuous form of novelty. Novelty means distractions, I mean. I think so. Quality of being original or unusual. Okay. Yeah. To such an extent that those who are doing well, okay, perhaps this is why most of the habit forming products are those that provide continuous form of novelty. Video games provide visual novelty, porn videos provides sexual novelty, junk food provide culinary culinary novelty. Each of these experiences offer continual experiment elements of surprise. In psychology, this is known as a variable reward. Slot machines are the most common real-world example. A gambler hits the jackpot every now and then, but not any predictable interval. But not at any predictable interval. The pace of reward varies on the pace of reward varies. This variance leads to the greatest spike of dopamine. Okay. Enhance memory recall and accelerates habit formation. Variable rewards won't create a craving. That's it. That is, you can create a reward people are uninterested in. Variable rewards won't create a craving. That is, you can take a reward people are uninterested in, give it to them at a variable interval, and hope it will change their mind. They are a powerful way. But they are a powerful way to amplify the cravings we already experience because they reduce boredom. The sweet spot of desire occurs at a 50-50 split between success and failure. Half of the time you get what you want, half of the time you don't. You just need to you just need enough winning to experience satisfaction and just enough wanting to experience desire. This is one of the benefits of following the Goldilocks rule. What the fuck is going on? Why isn't the time running out? If you are already interested in a habit, working on the challenge of just manageable difficulty is a good way to keep things interesting. Of course, not all habits have variable reward component. You just wouldn't want them and you just wouldn't want them to. If Google only delivered a useful search result some of the time, it would switch to a competitor. I would switch to a competitor very quickly. If Uber only picked up half of my trips, I doubt I'd be using that service much longer. And if I'd flossed my teeth each night and only sometimes ended up with clean mouth, I think I'd skip it. Okay. Variable rewards, variable rewards or not, no habit will stay interesting forever. At some point, everyone faces the same challenge on the journey of self improvement. You have to fall in love with boredom. We all have goals that we would like to achieve. and dreams that we would like to fulfill. But it doesn't matter what you are trying to become better at. If you only do the work when it's convenient or exciting, then you'll never be consistent enough to achieve remarkable results. I can guarantee you that I can guarantee that if you manage to start a habit and keep sticking to it, there will be days when you feel like quitting. When you start, yeah, the time is up, guys. When you start a business, there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. When you are in the gym, there will be sets that you don't feel like finishing. When it's time to write, there will be days that you don't feel like typing. But stepping up when it's annoying or painful or draining to do so, that's what that's what makes the difference between a professional and an amateur. Okay, yeah, I read up to this point. Let me tell you guys first. I hope it's visible at this point. So that's it, guys. We read up to page number 236. I'm feeling very sleepy. I do have to go to hospital tomorrow again. I'll try my best to upload another video tomorrow, record and upload another video tomorrow. But if I don't, please understand. I think I will. As I did today, I will do tomorrow also. And we'll bounce back, don't worry, guys. I'll see you guys again. Until then, go find your purpose, guys. It's very important. Goodbye.